For the first time in the history, gold has broken the 2060 barrier and is poised to punch through 2100 very soon. What is driving the surge in gold price? What is the reason behind this sudden spike? To discuss this and other matters relating to mining industry, I have invited a very special guest for you. If you're thinking about investing in gold mining stocks, you don't want to miss this interview. We bring high potential hidden gems, and you get to hear firsthand from the CEOs themselves right here. My guest today is an industry veteran who worked in the mining industry for over 30 years across the United States, Canada, and Latin America. On today's show, I am delighted to have Darcy Merritt, the CEO of Western Exploration. Darcy, welcome to the Daily Stock Show.
Salim, thank you for having me, and thank you for that introduction. It sounds like I have a lot to live up to in your words there.
Well, I'm delighted. I can't, thank you enough for taking the time to come and join my audience here today, because the timing, as you said, your timing is great. I want to talk to you about the gold market and about your company. So let's start with a brief introduction of yourself, your background, and your company, Western Exploration.
Well, thank you for that opportunity, Salim. So I have, as you said, been in the industry for over 30 years, and it's been a pleasure for me to work with some great leaders and some great companies in that history. I started my career back in the 80s with Homestake Mining Company. I think a lot of people will remember Homestake Mining Company because of the Homestake Mine in South Dakota. But Homestake Mining Company was a leader in the mining industry, not only in the United States, but around the world back in the 80s. And I was fortunate enough to be working with a group of experienced geologists and professionals that give me a lot of early mentoring in my career. It was Homestake that actually gave me a chance to start working in Latin America. After working a number of years in British Columbia, the Yukon, the Arctic of Canada, and what is now Nunavut, I was able to go down to Chile in the early 90s when the real exploration boom was just starting in Chile. Working with very good team there, I ended up joining FMC Gold in the early 90s. Which became Meridian Gold, which was eventually purchased by Yamana Gold, which is, if anybody knows me, that's how I ended up in Yamana. But with Meridian Gold and FMC Gold, we made a very important discovery that I think was kind of what kicked off my career in the gold industry, which was the discovery of the El Peñon mine in Chile. That mine has turned into a deposit of over 6 million ounces of gold and 200 million ounces of silver. A real world-class deposit, but more importantly, a world-class team. Meridian was very well known, and FMC, its predecessor, very well known for making discoveries. That company in its history made 5 major mine discoveries, which was on par with it at the time with Barrick and Newmont. So I think a lot of my career has been working with very good teams, picking up the best of all of those teams through my career with FMC Gold, then Meridian. And then in 2007, when Yamana bought Meridian, I ended up joining Yamana as Senior Vice President of Exploration for their worldwide portfolio, which was Latin America, Canada, the United States, Mexico. And then ultimately Executive Vice President overseeing the project development and exploration portfolio for the company. So all that time was working with very good people on very good projects in very high quality jurisdictions. In 2018, I joined Western Exploration. I have lived in Nevada for 18 years, but never worked in Nevada. So when the opportunity was presented to me to work in Nevada, I jumped at it. My family is here. It was nice to be close to them. But importantly, we had a project in this company called the Aura Project, which I think in all my time and all my career, I noticed right away that Aura had a lot of things that I always look for as a geologist in some of these senior mining companies. So that is how I ended up here, Salim, at Western Exploration. The company itself has a long history. It was founded in the early 90s, but it became public in 2022. The company has put together the Aura project over about 25 years. We've done over 50,000 meters of drilling, and we've got a resource there now of over 1.3 million ounces of gold. And most importantly, the company made a very significant discovery as a small company in 2013 called Gravel Creek. We continue to go Gravel Creek, and our latest news release that we put out about a week ago shows values of up over an ounce per ton gold and kilos of silver. So we think with that project, we've got a lot of room to continue to grow it, not only in size, but in grade as well, Salim.
Tremendous progress you made since you became public. Now we're talking about, Darcy, this is important. Investors, don't seem to understand how important. Tell us, share your experience about having a mine in a jurisdiction like Nevada. You based in Nevada, your assets in Nevada, and now what is happening in around the world, geopolitically, why Nevada is such an important jurisdiction?
Very good question, Salim. And I have been fortunate in working in a number of jurisdictions. And what I've noticed is that a jurisdiction may be a mining jurisdiction for one or two administrations, and then something happens and it changes. What we have in Nevada in particular is a long history of mining, a long history of supporting mining. So when you look at Nevada, it's a jurisdiction that not only has that history and legacy, but it has the government and it has the local leaders that support it. They see the benefit of the mining industry in their communities, with the people that live in their communities that are involved in the mining industry. And it also offers, the infrastructure. The infrastructure over time has been built up in Nevada to support that mining industry. If you look at our project, we're right off a paved highway, power is nearby, water is nearby. So the combination of that stable geopolitical jurisdiction with the infrastructure it provides, with the expertise and professional support that it provides, is second to none in the world. Our project is just north of Elko, about an hour and 10-minute drive, and Elko is one of the largest mining centers in the world for precious metals. Barrick has their office there, Newmont has an office, the Nevada Gold Mine Joint Venture, Kinross, i-80 Gold, the list goes on. So you don't see that all over the world. And as I said before, you may see a jurisdiction that a government is elected that supports mining for 4 years, but that legacy is not there. The infrastructure is not there. So the combination of all that together is really what sets Nevada apart.
That is a great point. You mentioned Newmont. The investors who invest in mining stocks, especially in gold, they know this is the largest gold mining company in the world. They made a significant, as a matter of fact, the largest acquisition in the history of gold mining sector in Australia, the largest gold mining company. So why you think the big mining companies are grabbing these assets, and what that means to a company like yours?
Yeah, well, again, you've hit the nail on the head on what's going on in the industry right now, consolidation. And I think it points to resources and reserves, Salim. Deposits are hard to find. They're expensive to find, and they're harder to find now than ever. A lot of the obvious things have been discovered. So I think companies are always forced to look internally at their portfolio and look at their growth plan. How do we replace what we mine today? If you look at a large company that mines 4 to 5 million ounces a year, you need to replace that as a minimum every year to maintain your net asset value or your net present value of the company. So a lot of companies are looking for ways to not only sustain what they're doing, but also increase their market share to show that growth profile to their shareholders. So that that causes companies like what we've seen between Newmont and Newcrest to do a transaction like that. There's a lot of pressure in the industry to not only maintain but grow. So for companies like ours, as a large enterprise like Newmont, you're not as nimble as a small junior company. We're focused on one, maybe two projects at the most. All our effort is going into understanding and developing that. So we really are kind of the gravy train that provides these new discoveries for these larger companies. Not every one of them works out, but I think a lot of them, do. And even if they don't turn into mines under the stewardship of the smaller companies, those initial discoveries eventually become the larger discoveries for those bigger companies. So it's an integral part of the industry in holes to have people like us, Western Exploration, out there beating on the rocks, looking for new discoveries, because the large major companies are just focused on really making what they have work and work as best as it can.
Well, you mentioned something very interesting about how this process of big companies get built and they mine. Now, one interesting bit of information I want to share with investors is that you are not only a mining expert, you are a geologist, which is rare. So this every rock and every stone, which to turn and what to look for. So that gives you an edge over the other executives with not having similar background like yours. Now, can you please tell investors what exactly you have, what you're working on, what is your number one priority at Western Exploration right now?
Sure, of course, Salim. So Western Exploration is the 100% owner of the Aura project, just north of Elko, near the Idaho border. Very high quality project. It's got 3 resource areas already defined in 43-101, Dobie George, Wood Gulch, which was a previous operation mined by Homestake in the late 90s, and our new discovery, Gravel Creek. All of them are contained within one project of 60 square kilometers. So we have a lot of gold on our ground right now. Anytime you see a lot of smoke, you're going to get a lot of fire, Salim. That's what I look for as a geologist. You look for the smoke. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Dobie George currently has about 500,000 ounces of oxide gold. We're doing the metallurgy for a heap leach open pit pre-feasibility study. Very high grade, above 1 gram per ton, so high quality oxide deposit at surface. And then the Wood Gulch, Gravel Creek deposits that I mentioned, total almost 1 million ounces in resource between those two. They're slightly different. They're younger in age and different genesis than Dobie George, but they offer the real big growth potential we have as a company. That Gravel Creek discovery that we made in 2013, we don't know the limits right now, Salim. We just put out a news release on one drill hole and we hit up to 65 gram per ton gold equivalent, about 35 gram per ton gold and 2.8 kilos of silver in that drill hole. And we expect that we're going to continue to expand that. So we see a lot of growth potential of not only gold resource, but high grade gold resource, Salim. And high grade is king in this industry. High grade isolates you from cost. It isolates you from gold price. It is the driver of high margins at any gold mine in the world.
I can imagine well, now that you have a great jurisdiction. Now got 3 projects. Dobie George, is that right?
Yes.
The king of the project. You have shovel ready to go.
Yep, it's ready to go right at surface, outcrops right at surface. You can walk on the ore zone.
And we're talking about the price, 2,100. That baby is not moving anywhere near, where it used to be. Just went through that 2060. Now nobody knows where it's going to stop. People are talking about 2,300. So I'm a bull. You can imagine. I follow this market very closely. And there are a lot of international events and forces driving the market. When we punch through 2060, now nobody knows where it's going to go because of the barrier is broken. So do you think it is a good time to invest in gold mining sector?
I do, Salim. As you said, we don't know where the gold price is going. Um, it's been very stable. Like people have commented that, gold hasn't performed that well over the last number of years. But if you look at compared to other investment uh, situations, it's done very well. It's held its own in very high inflation through COVID, all that kind of stuff. It's still there and climbing. So I think it's a very good investment. But even within the gold space, Salim, the junior mining sector, I think, is kind of what's going to be shining next year, in my opinion. Because if you look at valuations for junior mining companies right now, some of them have very high quality resources, such as ourselves, that are getting $10 per ounce for that ounce in the ground. So, as the gold price goes up, you can see that those ounces in the ground are being really discounted compared to the gold price. So, as junior mining companies de-risk their assets, the gold price goes up and the major companies are looking for new assets. I think it's going to be a real boom time for the junior mining space, especially for precious metals.
You got that right. Not every junior mining company is the same. We got here a good company, great assets, great jurisdiction, and the price is near the bottom 52. Okay. As soon as the gold broke through 2060, I saw your chart start moving up a little bit because people are looking for bargains. So do you think it is the best place investors can put money right now?
I
Yeah,
do think it's
yeah,
one
tell
of,
me about your company. Why investors buy your stock today? You tell me that.
yeah, no, that I'm happy to do that, Salim. And as you said, we are just like everybody else trading near a 52-week low. I think the sector has been beaten up through, the interest rate increases. There's not a love for junior mining companies during 2023. That will change into 2024. But what separates us from the pack is that we do have a near development ready high grade oxide deposit at surface at Dobie George. That's undeniable. It's there. Those ounces aren't going away. They're worth more today than they were yesterday, yet our price is
Yes.
half of what it was. And at Gravel Creek, we continue to find very high grade gold on a deposit that's going to continue to grow. To me, if you look at Gravel Creek right now, what we have, we're just, touching the tip of the iceberg. As we continue to drill, as we continue to define those high grades and grow this deposit, it will become more and more desirable, the intermediate and major mining companies that are looking for growth. So I think we have that two-pronged approach. We've got the Dobie George asset, which is being de-risked towards development. And we've got Gravel Creek, which is a new discovery, which will continue to grow and offer excitement to shareholders as that resource base grows, especially with those higher grades.
Awesome. Can you share with the investors now, investors in Canada and the United States can buy this stock right now, where they can buy, what are the symbols?
Yeah, we're traded on the TSXV. WEX is the symbol in Toronto. And on the OTCQX, we're WEXPF. We have active trading on both exchanges.
Okay, once again, for investors on Toronto, the symbol is WEX, WEX. On the OTC, it is WEXPF. You can buy the stock anytime in Canada and the USA. It's open. So as we are discussing, I think it's a great opportunity. I personally believe that you have one of the best team apart from your expertise. You got one of the best, board I have ever seen. Tell me a little bit about.
That's a good point, Salim. We do have what I consider one of the most professional but successful teams around right now. I'm a geologist. I'm focused on making discoveries. That's what gets me up every night, Salim, is finding that next ounce of gold. And that is shared with me by our VP of Exploration, Mark Hawksworth. Mark and I have worked together for over 20 years. Mark has led discoveries in Mexico and Canada, and in the United States. You know, his most recent discovery was the Mercedes mine in Sonora, Mexico, which is about 2 million ounces now. But Mark has that same philosophy. He just wants to find gold. And that's what drives him every day. So we put together a team that's exploration driven and exploration focused, but they come from a common heritage. Nicole Cowles, our director of investor relations, and I worked together at Meridian. Then she led investor relations at Argonaut, which was under the tutelage of Pete Doherty, who came from Meridian. Our CFO is Curtis Turner, who I worked with at El Peñon in Chile with Meridian. And then he was the chief development officer at Argonaut. So there's a lot of linkage in the management team working back through the years together with very successful companies. And then our board, as you mentioned, is led by Marceau and Nick Schlumberger from the Schlumberger family. They've got years of developing contacts in the private equity space. They put together a group, which is our major shareholder, Golconda LLC. Golconda has invested over $30 million in Western exploration between 2013 and 2021. So that discovery at Gravel Creek was thanks to the money that they raised in the private equity space for us to be successful. We've augmented that board with Brian Kennedy and Gerard Munera, who were both board members at Meridian. And Brian was the founder and CEO of Meridian Gold, and he was the founder of Argonaut Gold. So it's a group of private equity individuals that have expertise in raising capital and people that have founded and run public mining companies in the past very successfully. So very supportive and professional board, very well-rounded exploration team that we've got in the company right now that have also worked together for a number of years, Salim.
Well, this is one of the best junior mining play I have ever seen. I interviewed any CEO of your stature and the board you put together. That's why I was fascinated with your company. You are looking for investors, so just want to make sure that they understand. We got the assets right here in the United States. We got the great team. We got a shovel-ready project. Big companies like we mentioned, the largest companies in the world, looking for junior mining companies like what Darcy is running. So they can find it right here. This is a fascinating stuff. I cannot wait to welcome you back and talk more about the main flagship project you're working on in the near future, in a couple of weeks down the road. Darcy, it has been a fascinating conversation. I cannot thank you enough. I cannot wait to welcome you back to the Daily Stock Show.
Salim, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity. And I encourage anybody that is listening to this that wants to know more about the company to please just check out our website, www.westernexploration.com, and give us a call, and we'll happily talk to you about the company, about ourselves, about our project at any time.
Thank you so much. Today's show was brought to you by Western Exploration, stock symbol WEX on Toronto, on the OTC WEXPF. To learn more about our future guests and companies, please visit thedailystockshow.com. And on Twitter, Top 10 Stocks. Just plain like that. Top 10 stocks. You can't go wrong. Top 10 stocks on Twitter. You learn about our guests and the companies we feature. And also you'll find fresh stock picks, trading ideas, and so much more. Thank you very much, everybody, and see you soon.
Excellent. Thank you, Salim.